My wife said, "I'm going back to my ex after 15 years of marriage, and I'm taking half of everything you've built." So I reminded her about the prenup. She forgot she signed. I came home from work to find my wife sitting calmly in our living room with 3 packed suitcases next to her. And before I could ask what was happening, she smiled and said, "I'm leaving you for Jake, and I'm taking half of everything." She thought she had it all figured out. She'd forgotten one critical detail from 15 years ago. Hey Reddit, this is the story of how my wife of 15 years tried to walk away with half of the company I built from nothing, and how a prenup she'd completely forgotten about changed everything. I'm Derek, 42 years old, and what I'm about to tell you will make you understand why protecting your assets before marriage isn't about lack of trust. It's about basic self-preservation. You know that moment when someone reveals they've been planning your destruction and thinks they're going to win? When the person you've supported for years announces they're taking everything you've earned because they think the law is on their side. That's where this story goes. But let me start from the beginning. Because to understand how spectacularly Monica miscalculated, you need to understand what we had, what I built, and what she thought she deserved just for being married to me. Met Monica 17 years ago when I was 25, and she was 23. I was working at a tech startup as a junior software developer, making about $55,000 a year, spending every spare moment working on my own software project, a customer relationship management platform I believed could revolutionize how small businesses managed client interactions. Monica was working in marketing at a mid-size firm making around $45,000. We met at a networking event. She was beautiful, charismatic, ambitious. We talked for hours about career goals, about entrepreneurship, about building something meaningful. She seemed to understand my drive, my vision for the future. We started dating within weeks. For the first 2 years, our relationship was good. We both worked demanding jobs, supported each other's ambitions, talked about our futures as individuals and as a couple. Monica was focused on climbing the corporate ladder in marketing. I was focused on perfecting my software and finding investors. When I was 27, I finally got my big break. A venture capital firm invested $500,000 in my CRM platform. I quit my job, founded my company Client Connect, and went all-in on building the business. Monica was supportive initially, excited about the possibility of me becoming successful. 6 months after founding Client Connect, I proposed to Monica. We'd been together for 2 years. We're both thinking about marriage and family, and I was optimistic about my company's future. She said yes immediately, started planning an elaborate wedding, talking about our life together. That's when my attorney, Rich, who'd helped me with Client Connect's incorporation, pulled me aside for a serious conversation. "Derek, before you get married, we need to talk about a prenuptial agreement." A prenup. That seems unromantic. Like I don't trust Monica. This isn't about trust. This is about protecting the business you're building. You've invested 2 years of work and $500,000 of investor money into Client Connect. If the marriage doesn't work out, you need to ensure the business remains entirely yours. California is a community property state. Anything earned during marriage gets split 50/50ths in divorce. Without a prenup, Monica could claim half of Client Connect, even though she contributed nothing to building it. But we're not getting divorced. We're getting married because we love each other. I'm sure that's true. But 50% of marriages end in divorce. And for entrepreneurs, that percentage is even higher due to the stress of building a business. I've seen founders lose everything in divorces because they didn't protect their companies. Don't be one of them. What would the prenup say? That Client Connect and all assets derived from it, profits, investments, equity, intellectual property, regardless of marital status, that any growth in the company's value during marriage is yours alone, that Monica has no claim to the business or anything it generates. What about other assets? Our house, savings, retirement accounts. Those can be split normally as community property. The prenup only protects the business. Everything else you acquire during marriage would be divided fairly if you divorce, but the company stays with you. I thought about it for a week, then talked to Monica. My attorney is recommending we sign a prenuptial agreement before we get married. Her face immediately changed. A prenup? You want a prenup? My attorney says it's standard for entrepreneurs to protect their businesses, so you don't trust me. You think I'm going to take your company? It's not about trust. It's about protecting what I built before we got married. And what? I'll continue building. We're not even married yet, and you're already planning for our divorce. That's incredibly insulting. Monica, I'm not planning for divorce. I'm planning to build a successful business. And if I do, I want to ensure it remains mine. The prenup only covers Client Connect and business-related assets. Everything else, our home, our savings, anything we build together, that's all split normally. This is just protecting the one thing I started before we met. If you loved me, you wouldn't ask me to sign away my rights. I'm not asking you to sign away your rights. I'm asking you to acknowledge that my company is separate from our marriage. You'll still get everything else. We fought about this for 2 weeks. Monica cried, accused me of not trusting her, said I was treating our marriage like a business transaction. Her friends told her she shouldn't sign it. Her mother said any man who wants a prenup doesn't really love you. But I held firm. Monica, I love you. I want to marry you. But I also need to protect the business I've invested everything into. If you're not planning to divorce me or take my company, then signing this shouldn't be a problem. It's just paperwork that protects both of us, protects you from being responsible for business debts, and protects me from losing what I built. Eventually, reluctantly, she agreed. Fine, if this is what you need to marry me, I'll sign it. But I want you to know, this hurts. This makes me feel like you don't trust me, like you think I'm some gold digger. I don't think that at all. I think you're the woman I love and want to spend my life with. This is just good business practice. We had our attorneys draft the prenup. It was straightforward. Client Connect, all intellectual property, all equity, all profits, all assets purchased with company funds. These remain Derek's sole and separate property. All other assets acquired during marriage, home, cars, retirement accounts, savings not derived from Client Connect. These were community property, subject to normal division in the event of divorce. Monica signed it with visible resentment. Happy now? You've got your protection. Can we please focus on the wedding? We got married 3 months later. Beautiful ceremony, 150 guests. Everything Monica wanted. I paid for most of it, $35,000 total from my personal savings, not business funds. We honeymooned in Bali. Came back ready to start our life together. The first 5 years of marriage were intense. Client Connect was growing rapidly from 2 employees, me and 1 developer I hired, to 15 employees. Revenue grew from $200,000 the first year to $2.5 million by year 5. I was working 70 to 80-hour weeks, pouring everything into building the business. Monica continued her marketing career for the first 3 years of our marriage, contributing financially to household expenses. But she'd complain about how much I worked, how I was always at the office or traveling for client meetings, how I was married to my company instead of her. This is what building a business requires, I'd explain. Once we're more established, I can step back. But right now, I need to be hands-on with everything. When do I get to be your priority? You are my priority. I'm building this company for our future, for the financial security we'll have, for the life we'll be able to give our kids someday. In year 4 of our marriage, when I was 31 and Monica was 29, we had our first child, Emma. Monica took maternity leave, then decided she didn't want to go back to work full-time. I want to be home with Emma. I don't want to miss her childhood while working in some corporate office. Can we afford that? Your income is $65,000. Now, that's significant. Your company made $1.8 million last year. We can absolutely afford for me to stay home. That's revenue, not profit. And the profits go back into growing the business. My personal salary is only $90,000. Then pay yourself more. You own the company. If I pay myself more, I have less to invest in growth, less to hire new people, less to expand our market reach. So what? I'm supposed to go back to work full-time and miss my daughter's childhood because you'd rather grow your business than support your family. The guilt trip worked. I agreed Monica could stay home with Emma. She quit her job, became a stay-at-home mom. With just my $90,000 salary, we had to tighten our budget significantly, but we managed. 2 years later, when Emma was 2 and I was 33, we had our second child, Noah. Monica was now fully entrenched in stay-at-home mom life, joined playgroups, took the kids to activities, manage the household. I appreciated what she did. Raising kids is real work. But I also noticed she seemed to resent that I was still working constantly. You missed Emma's recital. I had a client meeting that ran late. I'm sorry. You're always sorry, but you're never actually here. I'm building something, Monica. Client Connect now has 25 employees. We're doing $5 million in annual revenue. I've been working toward. Great, you have your company. What about your family? My family is why I'm doing this. So we can have security. So the kids can go to good schools and college. So we don't have to worry about money. We don't see you, Derek. Emma asks where Daddy is. Noah barely knows you. You're becoming a stranger to your own children. The criticism hurt because parts of it were valid. I was working constantly. Client Connect's growth required it. We were competing with larger, more established companies. And I had to outwork everyone to stay relevant. But yes, that meant sacrificing time with my family. By year 10 of our marriage, Client Connect had grown significantly. 45 employees, $12 million in annual revenue. But more importantly, we'd caught the attention of larger tech companies interested in acquiring us. My company was now valued at approximately $8 million based on revenue, multiples, and growth projections. I'd increased my salary to $150,000 to better support our family. We'd upgraded to a nicer house in a better school district, $150,000. Bought primarily with a bonus I'd taken from the company. Monica drove a new Mercedes I'd leased. The kids went to private school. We took nice vacations. Life was comfortable. But Monica's resentment had grown. She'd make passive-aggressive comments about how I loved my company more than my family. Would compare me unfavorably to other husbands who worked normal hours. Would complain to her friends I'd overhear about being essentially a single mom because Derek is always working. What do you want me to do? I'd ask. You want this lifestyle, the nice house, the private schools, the Mercedes, the vacations. That requires the income Client Connect provides. I can't work less and maintain this lifestyle. Maybe I don't care about the lifestyle. Maybe I'd rather have a husband who's actually present. Okay, so should I sell the company? Take a regular job, move to a smaller house, and put the kids in public school? That's not what I'm saying. Then what are you saying? Because I'm doing exactly what we planned, building a successful business that provides financial security for our family. You agreed to this. You knew what I was building when we got married. I didn't know you'd never stop. I thought once the company was successful, you'd step back. But you're still working 70-hour weeks, even though you have 45 employees. She had a point. Client Connect was successful enough now that I could delegate more. But the truth was, I loved my work, loved building the company, loved the challenge and the achievement. And maybe I used work as an excuse to avoid Monica's constant criticism and resentment. Year 12 of our marriage. I was 39, Monica was 37, Emma was 10. Noah was 8. Client Connect was valued at around $10 million. We were living very comfortably on my $175,000 salary plus bonuses. That's when Monica joined Facebook after years of avoiding social media. Everyone's on here. All my old friends. I'm curious what people are up to. She'd spend hours scrolling through Facebook, reconnecting with high school classmates, college friends, people she hadn't talked to in 20 years. She'd show me posts sometimes. Remember, I told you about... Look, she has 4 kids now. Or this is the guy who asked me to prom senior year. He's bald now. Then one evening, about 3 months after joining Facebook, Monica got quiet, started smiling at her phone in a way that made me uncomfortable. What's so interesting? Oh, nothing. Just catching up with old friends. But over the next few weeks, I noticed changes. Monica started dressing differently, more effort into her appearance, started going to the gym regularly. Something she hadn't done in years. Would take her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. Would angle it away from me when texting. How are you always texting? Just friends? There's this whole network of people from our high school staying connected. Seems like you're texting a lot. Are you seriously going to be jealous of me having friends? You're never home anyway. At least I have people to talk to. 2 months after Monica joined Facebook, I noticed she'd become secretive about her phone, would set it face down, would get notifications and quickly dismiss them, would take calls in another room. Monica, what's going on? You're being really secretive. Nothing's going on. Why are you always so suspicious? Can't I have privacy? Privacy is normal. Secrecy is concerning. You're hiding something? Hi, not hiding anything. "You're being paranoid." But I wasn't paranoid. Something had changed. Monica was different, distracted, distant, preoccupied with her phone and whatever was happening in her digital life. 3 months after joining Facebook, Monica announced she was joining a gym. "I want to get in shape. I've let myself go since having kids." That's great. I support that. But the gym sessions were long, 3 hours, sometimes 4. She'd leave at 10 a.m. and not come back until 2 p.m. The gym, then errands, then sometimes coffee with gym friends. I wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that my wife was just reconnecting socially and focusing on her health. But the secrecy about her phone, the constant texting, the long absences, it all felt wrong. For months after joining Facebook, I did something I'm not proud of. When Monica was in the shower, I looked at her phone. She'd changed her passcode, but I knew where she kept the written version. Yes, she wrote down her passwords. Terrible security. I opened her phone and went to her messages. There at the top was a conversation with Jake. Jake, I remembered that name. Monica's high school boyfriend. The one she'd dated for 2 years. The one she'd thought she'd marry until he broke up with her right before college to experience other people. She'd told me about him early in our relationship. Her first love. The one that got away. The breakup that devastated her. And now they were texting. A lot. I scrolled through the messages, my stomach sinking with every exchange. "Monica, I miss you so much. These past few months reconnecting have been amazing. Jake, I miss you too, baby. I never should have let you go. Biggest mistake of my life. Monica, sometimes I wonder what life would have been like if we'd stayed together. Jake, we'd probably be married with kids by now, living that dream life. Monica, I do have kids. Emma and Noah. But sometimes I wonder if they should have been ours instead of mine and Derek's." My heart stopped reading that. Our children, Nima and Noah, who I loved more than anything. Monica was fantasizing about them being someone else's. I kept scrolling. "Jake, when can I see you again? I need to hold you. Monica, tomorrow. Same time, same place. Jake, can't wait. Beautiful. Wear that dress I like." They'd been seeing each other, not just texting. Actually meeting up. Those gym sessions weren't gym sessions at all. They were meetings with Jake. I scrolled back further, looking for when this started. The first message was from 3 months ago, right when Monica had gotten quiet about Facebook. Jake had sent, "Monica, is this really you? I can't believe I found you. How have you been?" They'd reconnected on Facebook, started messaging, progressed from casual catching up to flirting to full-on emotional affair to physical affair. 3 months of lies. I took screenshots of everything and sent them to my email. Then put Monica's phone back exactly where I'd found it. When she came out of the shower, I acted normal. "How was your shower?" "Good. I'm meeting Melissa for coffee. Be back in a few hours." Melissa, the fake friend she was using as cover to meet Jake. "Have fun." She left. I sat on the couch processing what I discovered. My wife of 13 was having an affair with her high school ex-boyfriend, was fantasizing about our children being his instead of mine, was lying constantly about where she was and who she was with. I called Richard, my attorney. "Richard, I need legal advice. Monica is having an affair. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you considering divorce?" "I don't know yet, but I need to understand my options. We have a prenup protecting Client Connect. But what about everything else?" The prenup protects the business completely. Everything else, the house, savings, retirement accounts, cars, those are community property. In a California divorce with a 13-year marriage and 2 minor children, you'd likely split those assets. 50/50ths. Monica would also get child support based on your income and custody arrangement, plus potentially spousal support since she hasn't worked in 10 years. How much are we talking? Child support for 2 kids on your $175,000 salary, probably $2,500 to $3,000 per month. Spousal support for someone who is married 13 years and quit working to raise kids, probably $3,000 to $4,000 per month for 5 to 7 years. The house equity gets split. Retirement accounts get split. She'd walk away with probably $800,000 to $1 million in assets plus ongoing support, but not Client Connect. Not a penny of Client Connect. The prenup is ironclad. I drafted it myself. She has zero claim to the company, its assets, or anything derived from it. Good. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I'm preparing for the worst. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched Monica continue her affair. She'd meet Jake 3 or 4 times per week, always using fake excuses: coffee with friends, gym, errands. She'd text him constantly when she thought I wasn't looking. She was living a double life and apparently felt no guilt about it. I kept taking screenshots, building evidence, and making plans. Then, 2 weeks after discovering the affair, I came home from work early 4 p.m. instead of my usual 7 p.m. As I pulled into our driveway, I saw Monica sitting in the living room through the front window, and next to her were 3 large suitcases. My stomach dropped. I walked into the house, trying to appear calm. "Hey, what's with the suitcases?" Monica looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before: cold, determined, almost gleeful. "Sit down, Derek. We need to talk." I sat down across from her, my heart pounding. "I'm leaving you," she said calmly. "I'm going back to Jake. We reconnected 4 months ago and realized we never stopped loving each other. You were just the safe choice, the stable guy I married while I got over him. But he's the one I should have been with all along." I stared at her, processing. She was actually doing this. Announcing she was leaving me for her high school ex like this was some romantic movie instead of the destruction of our 15-year marriage. What about Emma and Noah? They'll adjust. Kids are resilient. And honestly, Jake is so much better with them than you are. He actually spends time with them when he's around. You're always working. When has Jake been around our children? A few times. I introduced him as an old friend. They loved him. She'd brought her affair partner around our children, had lied to them about who he was, had exposed them to this betrayal. So you're just leaving after 15 years. I'm not just leaving. I'm choosing happiness. I'm choosing passion over stability. I'm choosing the man I actually love instead of the man I settled for. The words should have hurt, but I just felt cold clarity. "And I'm taking half of everything," Monica continued, her tone becoming almost victorious. "California is a community property state. I'm entitled to half of everything acquired during our marriage. Half the house, half your retirement, half your savings, and half of Client Connect." She smiled when she said that last part. Smiled like she'd been planning this, calculating the payout, fantasizing about walking away rich. Half of Client Connect is worth about $4 million. Add in the house equity, retirement accounts, savings. I'm walking away with probably $5 million total. That'll set Jake and me up nicely for our new life together. I sat there, letting her finish, letting her believe she had it all figured out. Then I asked quietly, "Monica, do you remember what you signed before we got married?" Her smile faltered. "What? 15 years ago. Before our what did you sign?" Her face went pale. "I signed a prenuptial agreement," I finished, "that protects Client Connect completely. Every asset derived from my company, every penny of profit, every bit of equity. It's all mine. You have zero claim to it." I watched the realization hit her like a physical blow. No, that was. We signed that 15 years ago. That doesn't still count. I've been your wife for 15 years. I raised your children. You're entitled to exactly what the prenup and California law allow, which is half the house equity, half the non-business retirement and save, child support, and temporary spousal support. That's roughly $800,000 total, plus $5,000 to $6,000 per month in support for a few years. That's a far cry from the $5 million you were planning on. Monica's face went from pale to red. "You can't do this. I'm your wife. I sacrificed my career to raise our children. I deserve half of everything. You sacrificed your career to avoid working while living off my income. And the prenup you signed says very clearly, Client Connect is mine alone. You're not getting a penny of it." Jake said Jake told you that you get half of everything in the divorce, didn't he? Jake, who's probably broke himself and saw you as a meal ticket to millions. Well, you can tell Jake that the meal ticket just burned up. You're leaving with about $800,000 and a few years of support. Hope that's enough for your new life together. Monica stood up, shaking with rage. "This isn't over. I'll fight this. I'll get a lawyer and contest that prenup. Please do. Richard will enjoy defending it. The prenup is ironclad, but by all means, waste your money trying." She grabbed her suitcases and stormed toward the door, then stopped and turned back. "You're going to regret this. You're going to be sorry you treated me this way." "The only thing I regret I said calmly, is not seeing who you really were 15 years ago. But at least I protected what matters. Have a nice life. She left, slammed the door so hard the pictures on the wall shook, and I sat there in the quiet house, phone in hand, ready to call Richard and begin the process of divorce. 15 years ago, Monica had reluctantly signed a prenup, calling it insulting and saying I didn't trust her. Today, that prenup had just saved me from losing half of everything I'd built to a woman who'd been planning to leave me for her high school boyfriend and thought she deserved millions for doing it. Sometimes trust isn't about believing someone won't betray you. Sometimes it's about protecting yourself in case they do. The door slammed shut behind Monica. I sat in the silence of our living room. Our soon-to-be former living room man felt a strange mix of emotions: relief, anger, sadness for what our marriage had become, and vindication that I'd had the foresight 15 years ago to protect what I'd built. I picked up my phone and called Richard. Monica just left, told me she's going back to her high school ex-boyfriend, announced she was taking half of everything, including half of Client Connect. Then I reminded her about the prenup. Richard actually laughed. How'd she take that? About as well as you'd expect. Went from triumphant to enraged in about 5 seconds. She threatened to contest the prenup. Let her try. That prenup is bulletproof. I drafted it myself. She had independent legal counsel review it before signing. And there's zero evidence of coercion or fraud. No judge is going to overturn it. What do I do now? File for divorce immediately. You want to control the narrative and the timeline. I'll draft the petition tonight. We'll file tomorrow. Grounds will be irreconcilable differences. We'll cite the affair as evidence if needed. But California is no fault, so it won't matter much. The prenup dictates the asset division. She gets nothing from Client Connect. You split marital asset 50-50. What about custody? Given that she's been the primary caregiver for the past 10 years, she'll likely get primary physical custody. You'll get substantial visitation probably every other weekend, alternating holidays, weeks in the summer. Unless we can prove she's unfit, which abandoning the marriage for an affair partner doesn't quite reach. She introduced him to our kids, lied about who he was. That's not ideal parenting, but probably not enough to sway custody. However, we can use it to argue for 50-50 custody instead of her getting primary. You're the stable parent with a consistent home. She's running off with an affair partner. That might work in your favor. Do it. File everything. I want this done. I'll get started tonight. In the meantime, document everything. Save all evidence of the affair. Don't engage with Monica unless necessary and keep it civil. Let your attorney do the talking. I hung up and looked around the house. Emma and Noah were at Monica's parents' house for the night Monica had arranged it, presumably so she could make her dramatic exit without the kids witnessing it. I'd need to tell them about the divorce soon. That conversation was going to be harder than any business negotiation I'd ever conducted. That night, I went through Monica's phone messages, again screenshots I'd already saved and compiled everything. 3 months of affair evidence. Messages coordinating meets. Jake had sent her. Her responses planning their future together. All of it saved and ready to present if Monica tried to claim anything other than what the prenup allowed. The next morning, Richard filed the divorce petition. Monica was served with papers at her parents' house, where she'd apparently fled after storming out of hours. Asterisk. According to Richard, she'd called her own attorney within an hour of being served. Her lawyer is Sandra Martinez. Good attorney. She'll review the prenup and tell Monica the same thing I'm telling you: it's enforceable. But Monica will probably push her to challenge it anyway. 2 days after Monica left, I sat down with Emma and Noah to explain what was happening. Kids, Mom and I need to talk to you about something important. We're going to be getting a divorce. Emma, who is 12 and old enough to understand, looked devastated. Why? What happened? Sometimes people grow apart. Mom and I decided we're better off not being married anymore. Is it because you work too much? Emma asked, and I heard Monica's voice in that question, years of her complaining to the kids about my absence. It's complicated, but I want you both to know this has nothing to do with you. We both love you very much. That will never change. Noah, who is 10, asked quietly, "Where will we live?" You'll probably spend most of your time with Mom and some time with me. We're working out the details, but you'll see both of us regularly, and we'll both still be your parents. Emma started crying. Noah looked confused and scared. And I felt like the world's worst father for putting them through this, even though Monica was the one who'd blown up our family for a high school romance. 1 week after Monica left, her attorney sent Richard a letter formally challenging the prenuptial agreement on grounds that it was unconscionable and signed under duress. Richard forwarded it to me with a note. Predictable. We'll respond, but this is going nowhere. The prenup will stand. 2 weeks after Monica left, I heard through mutual friends that she was living with Jake. He'd apparently rented a townhouse for them, not bought, rented in a nice part of town. Monica was posting on Facebook about their new beginning and finally choosing happiness. 3 weeks after Monica left, Jake apparently learned the truth about Monica's financial situation. According to my friend Steve, who heard it from Monica's friend Sarah, Jake had been under the impression Monica would be walking away from the marriage with $4 to $5 million, when he learned it was closer to $800,000 total. His enthusiasm cooled significantly. Sarah said Jake basically told Monica he thought she'd be set financially from the divorce, Steve reported. When Monica explained about the prenup, Jake apparently got real quiet, said he needed to think about things. He's going to leave her, I predicted. He thought he was getting a wealthy divorcee. Now he's got someone with $800,000 who can't work and hasn't had a job in 10 years. For weeks after Monica left, the prenup challenge was officially dismissed by the court. The judge ruled that the agreement was entered into voluntarily by both parties with independent legal counsel, that it was fair at the time of signing, and that it remained enforceable. Monica's claim that she'd been coerced was unsupported by any evidence. Richard called to give me the news. It's over. The prenup stands. Client Connect and all related assets are yours. Now we just negotiate the division of marital assets and support payments. 5 weeks after Monica left, Jake broke up with her, moved out of the townhouse they'd been renting. According to Sarah, who apparently felt guilty about what had happened and had started feeding me information, Jake told Monica that he'd realized they'd changed too much and the timing wasn't right. Translation: he'd realized Monica wasn't the meal ticket he'd thought, and staying with her meant dealing with an unemployed woman, 2 kids who weren't his, and a nasty divorce from a husband who wasn't going to roll over and give her millions. Monica was devastated, had gone from believing she was leaving me for the love of her life and millions of dollars, to being dumped by that same love, realizing she'd get less than $1 million, and facing the reality that she'd destroyed her family for nothing. 6 weeks after Monica left, she called me for the first time since that day. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Derek, what do you want, Monica? I need to talk to you. Can we meet? Anything you need to say can go through our attorneys. Please, just once, face to face. I need you to understand. Understand what? That you had an affair? That you tried to take half my company? That you destroyed our family for a guy who dumped you the second he realized you weren't rich? I understand all of it perfectly. Jake and I broke up. I heard. I'm sure that's very difficult for you. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I got caught up in fantasy and nostalgia, and I destroyed something real. Can we talk about reconciliation? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Reconciliation? Are you serious? I know I messed up, but we have 15 years together. We have children. Maybe we can work through this. Go to counseling. Start over. Monica, you told me I was the safe choice you settled for. You had an affair for 3 months. You introduced your affair partner to our... You tried to take half of my company that you had zero role in building. And now that your affair partner dumped you when he realized you weren't getting millions, you want to reconcile? The answer is no. We're done. But the kids will adjust. Better they grow up with divorced parents who are apart than together, in a marriage where one person cheated and lied and the other can never trust them again. I still love you. You love what I provide. The lifestyle, the security, the house and the car and the private schools. You don't love me. You never did. You loved what I could give you. And when you thought you could get it all and leave for someone more exciting, you did. The only reason you want to come back is because your plan fell apart. That's not true. It's entirely true. And I'm done. Our attorneys will finalize the divorce. You'll get what you're entitled to, nothing more, nothing less. Move on with your life, Monica. I'm moving on with mine. I hung up, blocked her number. She could communicate through attorneys from now on. 2 months after Monica left, the divorce settlement was finalized. Monica received half the equity in our marital home, $175,000 after I refinanced to buy out her share, half the non-business retirement accounts, $280,000, half the savings not derived from Client Connect profits, $85,000 the Mercedes she'd been driving, which she now had to maintain and pay insurance on total assets, $540,000, plus the car. Additionally, I was ordered to pay child support, $2,800 per month for Emma, and Noah's spousal support, $3,500 per month for 5 years. Custody was split 60/40. Monica had primary custody kids with her during the week. I had them every other weekend, alternating holidays. And for weeks in the summer, Monica also received exactly $0 from Client Connect, its assets, profits, or equity. The prenup had protected everything perfectly. The total payout to Monica, approximately 50万美元 in assets, plus 7,500per year in support, $6,300 a month, times 12 months for 5 years, equals $918,000. Total over 5 years, far less than the $5 million she'd been expecting when she announced she was leaving me. 3 months after Monica left, I heard she'd moved into a modest 2-bedroom apartment. Couldn't afford anything nicer on her settlement money since she was trying to preserve it. Had to get a job for the first time in 10 years. Did up at a dental office as a receptionist, making $35,000 per year. She's struggling, Sarah reported. The apartment is small. She's working full-time for the first time since Emma was born. She has the kids most of the time, so she's juggling work and parenting alone. And she's bitter about how the divorce turned out. She's bitter. She's the one who had an affair and tried to take half my company. I know, but she thought she was going to be set financially. Thought she'd be living with Jake in some luxury situation. Instead, she's working as a receptionist and living in a 2-bedroom apartment. It's a pretty dramatic downgrade from the life you provided. 6 months after Monica left, I started dating again. Nothing serious at first. Dinners, getting back into the social world after 15 years of marriage. I'd forgotten what it was like to meet new, to have conversations that weren't weighed down by years of resentment and criticism. Then I met Lauren. She was 38, a successful financial advisor who'd built her own practice, made around $200,000, owned her own home, had never been married, independent, intelligent, ambitious. Everything Monica had pretended to be when we met, but had abandoned the moment marriage provided an easier option. "So you're a divorced dad of 2? Lauren asked on our first date. "Is that a deal breaker?" "Not at all. I'm more interested in why you got divorced." I told her the story, the prenup, the affair, Monica's attempt to take half of Client Connect, the dramatic reveal when I reminded her what she'd signed. Lauren's response was perfect. "Good for you for protecting your assets. And good riddance to someone who'd destroy a 15-year marriage for a high school boyfriend and a payday that didn't pan out." 1 year after Monica left, Lauren and I were in a serious relationship. She'd met Emma and Noah, who loved her. She'd seen Client Connect's offices and understood what I'd built. She was a true partner, someone who celebrated my success rather than resenting it, who understood ambition because she had her own, who contributed equally instead of expecting to be provided for. "You know what I love about you?" Lauren said one evening. "You don't apologize for being successful. Monica made you feel guilty for building something amazing. But your success is something to be proud of, not ashamed of." Monica saw Client Connect as what kept me from her. "You see it as what I accomplished, because I have my own accomplishments. I don't need yours to define me." Monica quit working and then resented you for being the one who worked. That's not partnership, that's dependency dressed up as sacrifice. 2 years after Monica left, I sold Client Connect to a larger tech company for $15 million. The sale wouldn't have been possible without the prenup if Monica had owned half. Any buyer would have been concerned about acquiring a company with a hostile ex-spouse as a stakeholder. But because I owned 100%, the sale was clean and simple. After taxes and investor payouts, I personally netted about $8 million, set aside $2 million for Emma and Noah's college funds, invested for $1 million conservatively, used the remaining $2 million to start a new venture and enjoy life. Monica, of course, got $0 from the sale. Her spousal support continued for 3 more years as ordered. but that was it. The $15 million sale was entirely mine. I heard through Sarah that Monica was furious. She told me she feels like she built that company with you by supporting you and raising your kids, Sarah reported. She thinks she deserves some of the sale proceeds. She supported me by complaining constantly about how much I worked and making me feel guilty for building something. That's not support. And raising our kids, which I'm grateful for, doesn't entitle her to equity in a company she had zero role in creating. 3 years after Monica left, Lauren and I got married. Simple ceremony, just close friends and family. Emma and Noah were in the wedding party. Monica, of course, was not invited and was apparently bitter about the kids participating in their father's new wedding. But Emma and Noah were happy. They loved Lauren. They appreciated that I was happy. And they'd adjusted to the divorce better than I'd feared. Kids are resilient when the adults in their lives are stable and loving. For years after Monica left, Monica's spousal support and her income dropped from $75,600 per year salary plus support to $35,000 just salary. She was 44, still working as a dental receptionist, still living in the same modest apartment, still bitter about how her life had turned out. Meanwhile, I was 46, married to Lauren, building a new business, living in a beautiful home with someone who is actually a partner. Emma was 16, Noah was 14, both thriving in school and well-adjusted despite the divorce. 5 years after Monica left, I ran into her at Emma's high school graduation. First time we'd seen each other face-to-face in years since. We'd been communicating only through email and co-parenting apps. She looked old, tired, worn down by years of struggling financially and working a job she'd never wanted. I felt no satisfaction in it, just sadness that this was what her choices had led to. "Congratulations," she said stiffly. "Emma's valedictorian. You must be proud." "I am. You should be too. You raised her with no financial help beyond basic child support. You got exactly what you were entitled to." The prenup was clear. That prenup destroyed my life. Your affair destroyed your life. Your attempt to take half of something you didn't build destroyed your life. The prenup just prevented you from destroying mine too. She looked away. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't left? If I'd never reconnected with Jake?" "Sometimes, but probably not the way you're thinking. I wonder if I would have eventually discovered the affair anyway. Or if you would have left me eventually for someone else. Or if we would have stayed together unhappily for decades." The prenup forced honesty. You couldn't take half of Client Connect, so you revealed your true feelings. In a way, it saved us both from a terrible marriage. "I wasn't happy," Monica admitted quietly. "You were never home. You cared more about your company than your family." Jake seemed like an escape from that loneliness. You could have communicated, could have gone to counseling, could have talked about feeling lonely instead of having an affair. But you chose the affair. And then you chose to leave and try to take millions you weren't entitled to. Those were your choices, Monica. Own them. I do own them. Every day I wake up in that apartment and go to that job I hate and struggle to pay bills on $35,000 a year. I own them. You could have trained for a better career. Could have gone back to marketing. You have options. I'm 44. No one wants to hire a 44-year-old woman who hasn't worked in her field for 15 years. That's not my problem. You chose to leave. You chose not to prepare yourself for financial independence. You thought you'd take half of what I built and live comfortably. When that didn't work out, you had to face reality. That's on you. 7 years after Monica left, Lauren and I had been married for 5 years and were expecting our first child together, a daughter we planned to name Sophie. Emma was 19 and in college, paid for by the fund I'd set aside from the Client Connect sale. Noah was 17 and preparing for college applications. My relationship with my kids was strong. They spent time with both parents, but increasingly preferred being at our house with Lauren and me. Monica's apartment was small, and she was often stressed about money. Our house was spacious and relaxed. The choice was obvious. Monica had apparently dated a few men over the years, but nothing had worked out. According to Sarah, the men Monica attracted were either looking for someone younger or someone more financially stable. A 45-year-old receptionist with 2 adult kids wasn't high on anyone's priority list. Meanwhile, a Jokta great love she'd destroyed her marriage for had married someone else, a younger woman with no kids and her own money. They'd recently announced they were expecting their first child. I heard Monica saw Jake's pregnancy announcement on Facebook, Sarah told me. She apparently had a complete breakdown. That was supposed to be her life with Jake, starting over, having that romance. Instead, he's living it with someone else while she struggles alone. That's what happens when you blow up your life for a fantasy. Reality doesn't care about your romantic delusions. 10 years after Monica left, I was 52. Lauren and I had 2 daughters, Sophia 3 and Olivia 1. Emma was 22 and starting her career. Noah was 20 and in college. Client Connect had sold for $15 million a decade. I'd since built another successful software company that was generating $3 million annually in profit. My net worth was approaching $20 million. Monica was 50, still working as a dental receptionist, though she'd gotten a small raise to $42,000. Still living in an apartment, still single. Child support had ended when Noah turned 18. So her income was just her salary, barely enough to live on. I heard she'd had health issues, stress-related. According to Sarah, the years of struggling financially, of working a job she hated, of watching her ex-husband thrive while she barely survived, had taken a toll. She tells people she regrets everything, Sarah told me. Says that if she could go back to that day when she announced she was leaving, she'd take it all back. Would never have contacted Jake, would have worked on the marriage, would have appreciated what she had. It's easy to have regrets a decade later when you're living with the consequences. But those regrets don't change anything. She made her choices. She says the prenup ruined her life. The prenup protected what I built. Her choices ruined her life. If she'd never had the affair, never left, never tried to take half my company, the prenup would have been irrelevant. It only mattered because she tried to take what wasn't hers. 15 years after Monica left, I was 57. Emma had gotten married to a wonderful man. And I'd walked her down the aisle with pride. Noah was finishing his master's degree. Sophia was 8 and Olivia was 6. Lauren and I had been married for 13 years, longer than my marriage to Monica. Monica was 55, still working, still struggling, still alone. But she'd finally stopped reaching out, stopped trying to maintain some connection to the life she'd thrown away. She'd accepted that what we had was gone and wasn't coming back. At Emma's wedding, Monica and I stood next to each other during the father-daughter dance. She was crying whether from joy at Emma's happiness or grief at what she'd lost. I couldn't tell. "She's so beautiful," Monica said. "Oh, she is. You raised a wonderful daughter. We raised both of us." True. Silence for a moment. Then Monica said quietly, "I was wrong. About everything. About thinking Jake was the one. About thinking I deserved half of what you built. About not appreciating what we had. I was wrong, I know. Do you ever forgive me?" I thought about it. 15 years of her living with the consequences of her choices. 15 years of me building a new life with someone better. 15 years since she'd tried to take half of my company and failed because of a prenup I'd had the foresight to insist on. "I don't think about you enough to hold a grudge," I said honestly. "You're my kid's mother. We co-parent. But forgiveness implies I'm still carrying anger about what happened. I'm not. I moved on 15 years ago. What you did stopped mattering to me a long time ago. I think about it every day. About what I lost. That's your choice. You can spend the rest of your life regretting one decision, or you can accept that you made that choice and build whatever life you can with what you have left. It's hard when what I have left is so little. You have your health, your children, your work, your independence. That's more than a lot of people have. It's not what I could have had if I'd stayed. No, but you chose to leave. You chose Jake over me. You chose to try to take half of something you didn't build. Those were your choices, Monica. Own them and move forward, or spend the rest of your life bitter about what you lost. Those are your only 2 options. Today, 20 years after Monica left, I'm 62 and semi-retired. Lauren and I split our time between our home in Arizona and a vacation property in Colorado. Emma has 2 kids of her own. Noah is married and starting his career. Sophia and Olivia are teenagers. My net worth is over $30 million thanks to wise investments and another. Successful business venture. Monica is 60. Finally retired on a modest pension and Social Security. She lives in a small condo she was finally able to purchase. She's alone. Never remarried. Never rebuilt the life she destroyed when she left for Jake. And Jake? He's still married to the woman he met after Monica. They have 3 kids together. He's successful in real estate. Lives in a beautiful home. Has the life Monica thought she'd have with him except with someone else 20 years ago. Monica called me her safe choice and announced she was leaving me for the love of her life. She was taking half of everything.
She's Claire and Claire.
Half of the $10 million company I'd built from nothing. She forgot about the prenup she'd signed 15 years before that. The prenup I'd insisted on despite her protests. The prenup that protected every penny of Client Connect and everything derived from it. That prenup saved me from losing half of what I'd worked my entire adult life to build. Saved me from being punished financially for Monica's affair and betrayal. Saved me from watching her walk away with millions she hadn't earned. Instead, Monica walked away with $918,000 over 5 years, exactly what she was entitled to under California law after being a stay-at-home mom for 10 years. Not a penny more. Not a penny from the company she'd had no role in building. And Jake. He disappeared the moment he learned Monica wasn't getting millions. Revealed himself to be exactly what I'd suspected someone who saw Monica as a meal ticket. Not ASOULMATE. The lesson from all of this isn't that you shouldn't trust your spouse. It's that protection isn't the same as suspicion. 20 years ago, I insisted on a prenup, not because I didn't trust Monica, but because I understood that businesses need protection regardless of personal relationships. That protection saved me. Monica spent 20 years regretting her choices. I spent 20 years grateful for mine. Sometimes trust means trusting yourself enough to protect what you've built, regardless of how someone else might react.